if you're someone that knows you need to make some changes, knows that you're going to need some help with that, but you experience doubt, you maybe feel like you're stuck and you have a reluctance to reach out for help, today I'm going to talk about what might be playing out in your mind, what you can do about it, and the steps you need to take to step up and take control and take charge of your life. I'm Ian Hawkins, and this is Sport is Life. The purpose of sport, as I see it, is to see your vision become a reality. Find your voice, create strong connections, and learn to trust your body. A coaching session with a woman this morning who's looking to transition out of corporate, has already dabbled in that space, got a redundancy and took a bit of time off and focused on a few of the things that she wants to do moving out of corporate, and now realise that it needs to be a longer transition, maybe do a bit 50-50 or build something else on the side, which I like that idea because there's certain stability that comes with that. But what she found is that in the space that she is working is that often people put self-care further down their list, and if they're going to make a choice around money, then often it's the self-care stuff that they cancel first. And from my experience, I've seen that too. They subscribe to endless streaming services, prioritize holidays, going out, dinners, all these different things, which is fine. And I do that as well. But I also prioritize my self-care because I know how important that is. But also the question was around, well, why is that? Why would they put their self-care when they know how important it is? And I think unless you've faced that yourself, unless you've had that moment or a number of moments where you've realized just how important your health is, and you've had different setbacks, or you've seen someone in your life go through hell and back or worse, then they maybe not here anymore because they didn't prioritize their self-care, they didn't prioritize their health, well, then you know how important it is. And from my experience, the resistance is that people are worried about what that might look like, particularly when we talk about opening up and speaking to a coach or a counselor or a psychologist or anything like that. And part of it is that they're worried if they start digging what they might find. And I've had this conversation with people, and they're worried about, oh, well, why am I like this? Why do I think like this? Why do I have this pattern? And they have this fear that it's going to be something really terrifying. Well, I want to tell you that 99.999% of cases, it's a small pattern that is recurring because of some meaningless moment that your young brain tried to make sense of it best it could. And sure, there are people that have experienced different traumas. Again, even smaller percentage have experienced something but don't have a memory of it. The general, again, the overriding data is that people have had some sort of experience like that. They've got a memory of it and they know what needs to be worked on. That doesn't mean you have to go diving straight in there, but usually it's just changing some behavior patterns, rewiring, bringing in a circuit breaker, all the things that I talk about pretty regularly. So yeah, that particular person I'm thinking of now, that was one of their concerns. Once I explained to them that's what it will be, they were like, oh, cool. And so we started coaching straight away, even after they'd been thinking about it for 3 years. And what they found was that, oh, once we tweak a few things here, and once I look at this particular situation in a different way, and once I've got some strategies to move past some of those patterns that don't serve me, that don't help me, then I'm even higher performer than I already was. So this guy was a CEO, but he knew he had to get better, but he also knew there were some things holding him back. One of the other concerns for people is, what if it doesn't work for me? I've had success in spite of myself, but there's so many different things where I know it could be better or it hasn't worked. And what if this doesn't work? Well, the thing is with self-care is that you get to be the person in control. And if you focus in a particular area that you want to improve and you make a commitment to that, and you're working with someone that you know can help you with that particular thing, well, then it will work for you. But you have to do the work. Some people, talk about, oh, this didn't work for me. This didn't work for me. Like, oh, yeah, what did you do? Oh, no, I didn't really do any of that. It's like, well, you're not going to get the results. You still got to show up. You still got to do the work. So it will work for you if you're prepared to work for it. That's what I'm trying to say. One of the biggest blocks is, what will people think? When I sat there contemplating the very first personal development investment I made, that was part of the fear. But I also got to that point where I'm like, no, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. And I will just keep it to myself for the time being. And once I come out the other side, then I'll be okay people knowing about it. Well, what I found really quickly is I started learning things that I wish I'd known years before. I started getting super fast results, and I couldn't wait to tell everyone. Most people weren't that interested in hearing about it, but it meant that I didn't have to worry about what will people think, because I saw the benefit from it almost immediately. The other really big one is this feeling of imposter syndrome. Who am I to think I can do this work? Who am I to think I can improve in this area? I'm not going to be able to do it anyway. I'm not good enough. That self-doubt that creeps in. And it can be the very thing that you actually want to change. And then it can also be the very thing that stops you changing, stops you prioritizing yourself, stops you prioritizing getting the right help. So again, it comes down to, are you really wanting to change this? Are you going to be committed? Do you want to make this work? Are you prepared to do what's required? Another one that you might have heard is, people go, I've tried everything. Have you? Because it's my belief there's a solution out there for everything. If you open your mind, be prepared to be curious, and open to the possibility that everything you thought you knew in a certain area was wrong, or right, but only to a certain level, and there's a whole other area of possibility, a whole other long list of solutions that might show up. Because when you operate from that perspective, then there's always a solution, always. And in playing in and around that imposter syndrome is the feeling of, am I deserving of this? And that can sometimes be more of a subconscious block than an actual consciously. Oh yeah, of course I believe that I deserve this, but I'm not going to spend the money on it because I don't think it's right for me, or I'm not sure about it, or it's too expensive, or they're all reactions from people who don't feel deserving at a subconscious level. Maybe they feel guilty about all that money getting spent on them when you're just one person in a family. They've got a partner, they've got kids. More often than not, people will prioritize getting their kids help well before they get themselves help. And yet, most cases, if you work on yourself, you're going to get a different response from your children. You're going to be able to guide them better, and a lot of the challenges that they're experiencing will change. And they'll improve because you've improved. Just everything about you will change, be more positive, be less reactive, will be more connecting. Can't go wrong. So next time you are questioning your self-care, or knowing you need to prioritize certain things but you're not, something my guest on this morning's podcast was talking about, an episode you'll see in a few weeks, was how important it is to have courage to realize that there are going to be two types of pains you can experience. The pain of not doing anything, which will keep you stuck and is painful for a different reason. And then there's the pain of facing what you need to face, the pain of growing, the pain of pushing yourself outside the comfort zone. one of you leaves you in a place of regret, feeling stuck, stagnant, replaying the same shitty patterns again and again. And the other one, the pain takes you to a much happier, more fulfilled place where you actually feel like you're bringing something to your life that you can be satisfied with. So you get to choose the two types of pain. So some things for you to ponder, pretty blunt when I think about it. But if you're here and you want to change, you're going to need to have some blunt conversations with yourself. If you go into your heart and your gut and you trust your instincts and what action you need to take, you can't go wrong. The problem is often you go to your head and your head will try and talk you out of it. All of those things I talked about, what people might think, what if it doesn't work for me, what will others think, imposter syndrome, that's all when you get stuck in your head. If you trust your gut and your heart, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong. A client of mine talks about when a lot of his work is conversations and networks and doing deals. And he said, when I speak from my heart, the conversation always goes well, every single time. And it's the same with the conversations you have with yourself. You come from your heart, you come from your gut, you trust that gut feeling. You're always going to find yourself in the right place. You've taken the time to listen to this whole episode. Now it's time to take action. Commit to one thing you've learned today and make it happen. And to avoid any obstructions, join the Sport is Life movement by clicking on the link in the show notes.